Mediocre Midnight Monster Hunter is the third collection of Count Crowley, and was released last year. It continues Jerry's story as she deals with supernatural threats, battles her own alcoholism, and combats the patriarchy. Like the others in the series, it has excellent art, good writing, and touches on a number of interesting and important themes. This collection has some unfortunate structural problems that lead to it feeling unsatisfying. While the previous two collections left off with a cliffhanger, they still felt like a complete story. In the first, Jerry was introduced to the supernatural, investigated, and killed a zombie. In the second, she fought a vampire and werewolf and was able to improve her skills and start the road to helping her friend. Here, the end of the collection has no less than 4 unresolved story threads, and that includes the main supernatural threat. While a few of these make sense, it is a continuing comic after all. They become too much taken together. While the more plot-driven elements unfortunately fall short, the character work is still very good, and Jerry makes a lot of personal progress. In addition, we get some small amounts of backstory for her brother, and some of the other members of the town, which makes it feel more like a real place. Issue 1 begins exactly where the last one left off, with Barnes having cut out the tongue from Stephen the werewolf, and Jerry discovering the grisly scene. There's a decent summary of the past 2 collections by one Mr. Morgus Melancholy. Then we see just how cold Barnes is, as without missing a beat he creates the scene of a fake suicide and leaves, dismissing Jerry the whole way. While Barnes is a major character in this collection, we still get very little of his actual history, or how he became the monstrous monster hunter. He is simply a force of nature, plowing through Jerry's life before leaving. While Victor is displayed attitudes similar, the flashbacks in the last collection explain his personal connection to werewolves, and why for him there has to be no cure, otherwise he killed his true love for nothing. Barnes, however, seems to be simply doing a job. He's following a set list of tasks to kill monsters, and there's no room for interpretation or mercy. Find creature, defeat it, cover it up, move on. It becomes clear from how other characters talk about him that while his attitude is not unique, he has taken it to a new level, becoming effectively a golem, an emotionless creature that will follow its task till the end of its days. In the meantime, Ben and Jimmy have a fight, as Ben wants some exclusive access to information about bodies disappearing, and Jimmy insists on protocol. He also dismisses the station, claiming it's just local news. This inflames Ben, which is what his storyline in this collection is about. While it's not major, there are a few scenes where we see how much love and attention he pays his job. It's a family business, and he wants to keep it running not just for himself, but for what it means. In the meantime, Jerry is still battling her own demons. The recurring theme of alcohol advertisements is still very present, and highlights how manipulative they can be, referring to it as an old friend. She's not the only one imbibing, however, as when she calls Victor, he is drinking and smoking. This issue also makes it clear that his relationship with Barnes is not what he previously described, as while he's come back to town, he never tried to find Victor or inform him about what he's been doing. Jerry heads back to Barnes' house to give him his cat when it's revealed that she is a free agent and not his. This introduces more questions, as it's clear the cat is highly intelligent and knew how to access secret compartments in Barnes' house. Presumably this will be resolved in the future, but for now, the animal remains ineffable. Barnes is dismissive of Jerry, basically the same as Victor was. However, he never gives her a chance to prove herself and simply remains an asshole. After being shut down, Jerry returns home and tries to cope. However, her rapist gives her a call, which unfortunately causes a relapse. Like many alcoholics who started the journey of sobriety, she gets tripped up. It's revealed later it's only been a week, but for someone like her, that's still an accomplishment. The comic captures the self-loathing and doubt that goes along with this, and her attending meetings first lying, and then admitting what happened is a pretty typical experience. Even if the overall storylines in this collection don't quite work, the journey is well done, and seems to come from either personal experience or being very close to someone who has been through it. In the meantime, there are 2 other plotlines. The first is the vampires still planning their multimedia domination. Their blood fountain/slave is particularly disturbing, although it's only set up this issue. There is also a strange figure in a clown mask driving around an ice cream van offering free masks to children. We're in early October, and the Halloween vibes are very strong. In a Halloween 3 idea, the masks kill the kids, in a fairly nasty panel. This collection is definitely the darkest of the 3, featuring multiple attacks on children, as well as sexual violence. The next issue begins yet another storyline, with a mad scientist creating Frankenstein's monsters, that are then used as unwilling prostitutes. The room has a portrait of desire, just like the one a few issues ago, both insinuating the felonious behaviors that will be conducted. We then head back to Jerry, where the consequences of last issue, her drinking again, and Stephen's body being discovered, are dealt with. We also get another attack of the masked clown, although this time the child gets away. There are very heavy CSA vibes, which adds an additional level of tension. Jerry confronts Barnes again, this time discovering what he's been keeping in his basement, which is a couple of magic feathers. These do something, but for now they're just doodads. Barnes also attacks Jerry twice while she's investigating, but she easily beats him back both times, calling into question his supposed superiority. The vampire comes to town in a plane where people are smoking, because that used to be a thing, and we discover that one of his various business interests is the zombie prostitutes. He confronts the madame about the situation, but unlike the previous vampire, he doesn't kill anyone, just uses his hypnosis to get information, then leaves. His demeanor was already shown to be more professional, but now we realize that he's much more lawful evil compared to the previous demon. There's then a touching moment where Jimmy and Ben show up at Jerry's doorstep with a bottle of grape soda and tell her the news about Stephen. While it's old news, it's still nice they put aside their differences to show up for her. In the next issue, we get Jerry and her Count Crowley get up to do promos. Then, due to limited time, she wears it for the rest of the issue. There's a nice interaction between her and Ben's wife, Marcy. Previously, the only time we saw her was shouting at Jerry after she stole booze, but here she's positive, thanking Jerry for doing the show and for helping out the station. It makes her more of a character and less of a stereotype. Jerry heads to the police station to answer some questions about Stephen, then does some digging of her own. She finds out a bit of information about the creepy clown, then Victor gives her the rest. It's a fairly typical ghost story, and evokes Trick or Treat, the film. A couple kids went trick-or-treating a few decades back, then there were bullies, and one got accidentally set on fire. His sister felt so guilty that she also did a case of self-immolation, and her spirit is replaying the crimes over and over. So that's 4 on-panel children's deaths in 3 issues. We get some hints that something dark is going on with the feathers. Jerry then returns home and is confronted by the vampire, who also attacks the cat. It seems like she's in a real bad spot, but the next issue it turns out to be just an intimidation technique. He just wants to know if she killed Hubert, the previous vamp. When she says yes, he gets off, then goes on a speech about the eternal cycle of violence and how the world is more grey than black and white. Pretty standard stuff. He leaves, though offers some hints about the future. Jerry makes sure the Pratt gets proper attention from the vet, then has an awkward date with Jimmy. While he didn't take no for an answer, when the time comes he's fairly respectable, aside from forcing a kiss when it's not clearly reciprocated. He does leave her a piece of cake later and locks up the house, so it seems like their relationship might go somewhere. Or he'll be horribly killed. Jerry goes and performs an exorcism of one variety or another, summoning the spirit of the little boy who burned. The girl's spirit arrives, and what was planned to be a touching reunion turns into an average Thanksgiving conversation, with the brother cursing his sister to burn in hell. In the end, the spirit runs away and is possibly defeated, so that's cliffhanger 1. Next, the Frankenstein girls escape. Then, Barnes gains some powers or something from the feathers and Victor confronts him, before being beaten half to death. Jerry finds him, and the issue ends. As stated before, the individual scenes are good, and there's some nice fleshing out of characters, as well as developments in Jerry's personal arc, but it feels less complete than the other volumes, with too many questions left unanswered. It seems like there was one too many things going on, and in the end, not enough pages to deal with it all. Let's hope the next issue wraps up in a more conclusive way, although at this point it's unclear when they will arrive. The comic hasn't been cancelled or anything, but there's no release date announced. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and thank you for watching. As always, be well.